Hey, what is up guys? It is your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at one of my DPC games that I recently played against Team Arkosh, who has BSJ and Jenkins on it. We did lose to them 0-2, so props to the other content creators. Gameleap takes the L on this one, but we'll be back better than ever, alright? All we gotta do is win our last series, and we're back in DPC Div 2. We're gonna be going for the throne, alright? Nonetheless, if you guys are excited for this video where I'll be looking at my Weaver gameplay and kind of just criticizing myself, talking about things I think I could have done better, ways I could have itemized, and just various things that I could have changed about my gameplay, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and for more videos like this one, click the link down below and subscribe to the gameleap website. But if you haven't signed up yet, just give it a shot. Give it a shot for a month. If you feel like you're stuck in your bracket, give it a go. I know a lot of people that have messaged me personally on Discord, and they're like, yeah man, I was stuck, I didn't know where to go, I watched a lot of your videos on the gameleap website, and now I've managed to climb a lot of rank. And honestly, I do feel great when I get those messages because I put in just as much effort that I do into the YouTube videos that I do into the website videos. It's not like knockoff videos, it's the real deal, so give it a shot. Alright, so in this game, I was going safe lane Weaver, and the enemy ended up tri-laning, and I made a couple of quite bad decisions in the laning stage. I don't think I played it horrible overall. I think my overall mentality was correct, which is like, I'm gonna have to sacrifice myself early on and wait for my Rubik to get some levels and shift over. But I had a couple of deaths, and I want to talk about what I could have done, the small things, like really the small things that could have been the difference in me being able to get a little bit more XP early on and not die. So the first thing I want to consider, I know this is a bit of a side note, probably isn't going to happen much in your pubs, but I never saw the safe laner bottom. And because I never saw the safe laner bottom, I can kind of assume that they're aggroing. And this isn't a guarantee because a lot of the time safe laners will hide anyway, but it is something to keep in mind. On top of that, my block on Dire is very mediocre, so a lot of you guys are probably safe lane players. There's a big difference between Radiant and Dire safe lane. On Dire safe lane, you want to block quite hard. On Radiant safe lane, you don't, because here, you're going to notice is that the Tusk and the Slark are blocking really, really hard, right? If we go back here, after the Slark goes through the rune, he's going to back up and block this wave, starting from in between his tier 2 and his tier 1. And, you know, I kind of did about the same. I wouldn't say I was, like, super late or anything like that, but Dire simply meets up far. Radiant, if you don't touch the wave, it meets up about here. Dire, it's about here. And you can see the tower range is here, right? But the wave meets here. So you want to block quite hard on Dire. And if I did that, right, I would have been chilling. The only reason that this lane starts really hard is because I messed up my block, right? If I was able to block this, I could have gotten it to at least here-ish, right? I could have staticked it here, and then I could have felt very comfortable. But now, because I don't get this wave far enough back off my block, right? I could have it all the way here. I can get pressured really hard off these first waves, and that's obviously exactly what's going to happen. In this scenario, I wouldn't even have a problem pulling creep aggro under tower just to secure the early XP. But because I'm in such a bad scenario, I felt like I couldn't do that. I also committed to my Sakuchi really early, and if I didn't, you know, use my Sakuchi, there's a chance I can just walk here, pull aggro, hit, pull aggro, and bring it to my tower. And that would have put me in a decent position. Kind of right here, all I was trying to do was pull aggro, but they were doing a great job of denying and double denying. And, you know, things are not going too bad right now. I do have 1 CS, my XP is okay, and I'm able to pull a creep aggro there. I do pull it again. Unfortunately, I don't get the back creep, and so I could improve my aggro a little bit. And you guys might be saying, oh my god, this is a lot of aggro. Yeah, like, it's a lot of aggro. If you don't learn how to constantly aggro, and you go against players who know what they're doing, or get to the higher ranks, you're really going to struggle because they do things like this. They put a lot of pressure on you, they kick you out of the lane, they cast all their spells at the same time on you, and that obviously can put me in a bad spot. Now here I ended up going down. Honestly, I'm not like super mad at the decision, because honestly, it's very obvious why I do it. It wasn't just like some insane mess up. But right here, I do need to look at the Tusk positioning, because if he runs at me at all, I kind of need to assume that like they're going to go on me. And once I see these 3 heroes, what I need to do is I need to go like this. I need to pop my Sakuchi and instantly run to the left, but I got greedy and I went for the range creep, right? And yeah, I just straight up died. I couldn't believe it. Like, honestly, I didn't think I would die, but I just did, and obviously I don't have to explain why that's bad. Another little tip here that I've noticed that I'm not doing perfectly is when I pull aggro like this, what you want to do is you want to hit the creep when it's about a de-aggro. So creeps aggro for about like a second or so, and you want to hit them at the end of it, because then when you hit them, they'll actually continue to run at you. And that would have been good here, because now the wave kind of pulls back, and I'm just going to lose this creep. It's not the end of the world, but, you know, every creep matters in this scenario. Every single creep matters. Every single one. So I'm continuing to pull aggro here. I feel like maybe I was a little bit too passive in this case. After all, I think I see this Tusk, but I was just afraid of dying, you know. right here, it is actually somewhat understandable that I'm playing super passive, because if I die right here, my game is over. I have no TP. I'm gonna have no game. And so I was like very passive. More than I probably had to be, but honestly, I think it's okay. Because when you don't have TP, you know, you can really throw your game completely if you play aggressive. I did think I made a very good play here. This is something you guys can all consider. It's a very important concept in Dota, which is the idea of baiting, but how do you do a proper bait? So here my Rubik TP's in, I talked about that earlier, and I know that this Slark wants to play aggressive. You know, BSJ, he's fuming, he wants to kill me. And so, what can I do to bait him in? Now, he ends up getting out, right? So it's not like, oh, he dies. But we end up getting a double kill on the supports because of what I do. And this was all intentional. I said in the game, I said, I'm gonna go on the Slark. I'm gonna bait him, come here, right? And that's exactly what we do. So I hit him twice, Sakuchi, and then you'll notice, instead of hitting him here, I hit him here. Now, you might be like, oh, but Speed, shouldn't he know that you're getting Ghana or like Rubik's here if you go that aggressive? Yeah, maybe, but honestly, like, that's some super advanced stuff. Like, he would have to be super ahead of the game to be like, oh, he's not just stupid, he's actually baiting me. You know, in their laning stage, it's not something you see it a lot in the mid game, late game, but not too much in the laning stage. So like, here I go on him, he's like, oh, you know, this Weaver's out of position because I can't actually take this trade. If we just 1v1, I'll lose. So he's like, oh, he's gonna lose this. So I kind of bait him in. On top of that, I act like I panic. I know this is like where things kind of really get advanced, and I mean this. This is not me just making this up. This is all like things that are like subconscious in my mind at this point. So as I go on him, I want him to think that I messed up, right? So the way I do that is after I hit him here, I kind of am gonna act like I'm running away. If I was baiting, what a lot of people do when they're baiting is they'll just keep attacking, like because they're like, oh, I want to do damage, we're trying to kill him. Yeah, but I wanted to overcommit. I want them to think that they have a chance of killing me. And so that I kind of like run to the tangos and continue to run away. So he feels a little bit confident now. He ends up pouncing out, but the supports shift over, right? So they come over to help out. It's a good lift on the 2. Pick up the CM. We finish up the Tusk. And I think Slark ends up dying at the end as well. Going for the kill. Yeah, so he dies as well. And that was a big turning point for our game. All of a sudden, I'm like chilling, you know? I'm only 300 net worth below a Slark who got the tri-lane to start. So that was a big turn in the game. I feel like that was a big play to break down. And that's why whenever you have a 4 on your team, pay attention to them TPing in. Even if they don't, you know, aren't communicating, you can bait for them, right? As long as you're careful. I knew the Tusk and CM weren't that close, so I wouldn't get bursted. And so that was a big turning point in the game. The next rotation I think I did that was good for my game, I would say this was overall correct, is they ended up ganking us top. They just killed both of my supports, so I TP bottom here. The reason is I just I can't lane top at all. I'm not even gonna try to bother, right? I could like sap XP, I guess, but instead what I can do is I can kick the Slark out of the lane, and I can force him to top as well, which isn't too bad, you know? The Slark having to go top is really not too bad for him, but it's also on a cart wave, so we got this cart, you know, coming in here, and that's gonna allow us to put on pressure, and it's one of the better rotations. You can see BSJ is trying to like basically kill off the wave to kill off the cart as well, like that's sort of the idea here. So now I want to keep my card alive, and honestly here, I would even consider this a mistake. I don't know what I'm doing. This is me not thinking. Big mistake here. I kill this cart, but the thing is, that's going to make my cart shove forward, so I don't know why I did that, because now I just like put my cart in death range. Fortunately, my teammates are smart enough to make up for my mistakes, but learn from me, guys. Like, when you have a cart, 10 minutes, don't shove in the wave right away. Make sure you have another creep wave behind it to protect that cart so you can get the tower. And now we do here. This is great, right? We open up the bottom side of the map. The biggest part about this play is not even taking the tower. Well, it is, but the reason why you want to take the tower is so that you can open up the bottom side of the map for your carry. And that's sort of what I'm going to do here. Now, I can kind of mess around with this Slark. It's obviously a pretty decent matchup for Weaver because, you know, I'm ranged, he's not. I even force out his ulti here, which is cool, all right? Nice, solid, putting some pressure on the Slark, kicking him out of his jungle. And now we're going to continue to flash farm here, and what my goal is I want fights to happen around mid, and then I want to look to TP into fights. And you can see here, I'm kind of looking, I definitely want to TP into these engagements. I see them overextending here, and so I TP in, and you know, this is kind of what you want in your games. I do feel like I probably should have went for the supports. After all, I think my team would have cleaned up the Razor if I had went for the supports, and I probably could have killed both of them with a 2-man bug, so I'm gonna say a bit of a target priority mess up there, but once again, not the end of the world. We kill the Razor. The next mistake we make here as a team is we kind of just like walk up to this tower, but I don't think we have what we need to necessarily do this, or we don't have the positioning. You know, like at this point, this guy's pretty strong just as a hero, you know. Void Spirit just does a lot of damage. Their Razor is an extremely high level as well with Hood, and you know, because he has such a good game on this Razor, he can kick us out of kind of wherever, right? So you're gonna see him like super aggro TP, and this is the right play, in my opinion, by Jenkins, because, you know, he just needs to walk in and tank the damage. That's all he has to do, and his team will win the fight under his tower. So I think us understanding this, we should have We should have backed off. If we forced the TPs and backed off, this would have been a much better engagement, but we kind of overcommitted, and we're like, oh, we can get the tower, we can get the tower, but the thing is, they're all respawning, and they have this Giga Razor, right? They have this Razor with Hood, we can't kill him, he's 1600 HP and 20% magic resist with a 400 shield, you know, he's not dying. And so yeah, I thought that was a large mistake on our part. We kind of forced that way too hard. Then I end up going bottom, but because like we kind of messed up bottom, not only is Slark farming when I'm not, so he was getting like super high CS and splitting the map while I'm not, I also have no resources because Weaver has no regen, so it was a bit of a mess here on our part. And that was like a big point of the game where if we just like chilled a bit and said, okay, they're respawning soon, they're gonna TP mid, they're gonna defend their tower, we can't take it, and we let them have it, it would be fine. So that's the big thing about pushing mid towers, guys. When you push a mid tower, do not overcommit. If you kill them once and you try to push a tower when they're respawning in 5 seconds, like you kill them, but it's early on, so they respawn in like 15, 10, 20 seconds, whatever it is, you're probably gonna die, right? Because they're gonna have full HP, full health. You're not. You're gonna be lacking something, and you're gonna die. It's also a positioning issue. They also have tower armor, tower vision, the tree line. You know, a million reasons why it's just not a good fight. And so there, we decided to split push and do kind of what BSJ did here, rather than like face planting into a tower when they're respawning. We would have been chilling. Now we kind of do that here. The game's fine. You know, it's not like this game's a disaster. This fight, I think this was a good decision. Once again, I say this a lot in my carry videos. Show up to the mid dives right here. They're diving mid. Unfortunately, my Ember got chain stunned. Well played by them. So I wasn't able to end up taking this fight. I had to time lapse out. I didn't know what spells they had. I wasn't taking a chance. Okay, it turns out they had nothing. Well, they had Frostbite. I could literally just die to one Frostbite. To be fair, I can time-lapse it, so not really, but yeah, maybe I could have committed a little bit harder for like the Tusk kill perhaps, but that's alright. Didn't want to take any crazy risk. Now, upcoming here is exactly what we needed to do beforehand. So you know how I said we needed to reset and then go for the tower? This is exactly what we do here, and it was actually, this was probably the point of the game where we got, you know, gained our biggest net worth lead if I had to guess, besides like maybe a Roshan. We end up going here, and now we collapse this 5, and this is good, right? This is what you want. This is how you take mid towers, guys. Learn from this. This is how you take mid towers. Now, we're not secret. I'm sure there's certain things we can improve on, okay? You know, take it with a grain of salt. We're basically in last in DPC, but we're in the DPC. And when we dive here, it's a quick collapse, right? We're all here. Now, if they TP in, they're starting the fight with their Razor basically dead, right? On top of that, you know, their Tusk is low, their Tusk is half HP, and we can stay as a unit. So they kind of TP in one by one, we're as a unit, and we can zone everyone out, right? So we kick the Slark out, we get the tower, they end up trying to save the tower, and they end up dying, right? And that was big. We like got, I think, about 2k net worth off of that almost. And so make sure, I know you're saying like, oh, but Speed, how do I do that in pubs? Just try to like wrap on the tower. Even if you don't do it as 4 or 5 heroes, it's fine, because the enemy team will also respond with less heroes because it's a pub. So you see what I'm saying? Like, you might only be able to dive with 2 or 3, but they're only going to respond with 2 or 3. You see what I'm saying? And so basically, in your pubs, like, just, let's say you want to dive mid tower. You're a Pangolier, you're level 6, your mid laner's doing well, you think you can put some pressure on the mid tower. Do not just walk up to it. Do not walk up to it. Smoke, go behind it, collapse on it, and then try to take it. Another thing I'd like to say about this game is I think like the BKB was fairly mediocre. You know, they do have a lot of roots and stuff like that, and they have like these silences and whatever. But honestly, I think I would have been much better off getting like a Sange and Yasha. It's a much higher DPS item, it gives me more movement speed to kite around the fights, and they don't have like, it's definitely not the best lockdown. It's not like they have a Lion and like some crazy long silences. They obviously do have like Void Spirit, for instance, which obviously BKB is great against, but I'm not even getting focused in these fights. And frankly, if I think I have a Sange and Yasha, I'm just not gonna die. Because like I have this team to back me up, I have this Underlord, you know, Fade Bolt, silences, I'm not gonna get bursted. So I think like I could have gone a grittier build here, went like Sange and Yasha into MKB, or like even Sange and Yasha into something like Scotty or Heart, maybe even. As crazy as that seems, and I could have just frontline, because for instance here, like, you know, I get gone on, I guess the BKB seemingly is good, but like, you can see I'm not doing much damage. My hero just doesn't like burst anybody, and even here, I think I go on the wrong target. I start hitting Void Spear, but it was just a bad fight overall. Now right here, we were able to pick off their Slark, and things were looking pretty good. We're 6k ahead, we got an Aegis, you know? We're kind of chilling, and yet we still kind of managed to throw the game, which is, you know, it's a thing. As an inexperienced tier 2 team, it's frankly very expected to throw the game. After all, going high ground is very hard, but let's talk about it. Let's learn from it. So, you know, we end up going in here. Honestly, things were good. This shard is honestly pretty good in my opinion. It's quite cool. If you guys don't know what the Weaver shard is, I picked it up. I think it is good this game. They had a Glimmer cape, and it's just like a really nice counter Glimmer because your bug doesn't get the spell. So typically if people go invis when they have a bug on them, it just gets rid of the bug. So it prevents that, right? Because it reveals them. On top of that, if right? If there's 2 units that are bugged, my Gemini attack will hit both of them. So you'll see here as I go on this Razor, I'm actually chunking him. I do a lot of damage at this point. But my Gemini will hit both him and the CM here. And it does a lot of damage, right? 200 damage to the CM. So that's quite nice. I'm fine with that talent. But how do we throw? So Slark is respawning at 28, right? Not great. We kind of go a little bit too hard on this guy considering it a BKB. Nothing too crazy. All right, we force out the BKB. But this is our big throw. This is classic Dota, guys. What should we do here? I'll let you guys answer. I'm sure you basically already know because I say it in all my videos. What do you do when they're respawning? Do not get greedy. Back, reset, get in your lanes, do it again later. Reset, get in your lanes, do it again. We already took the range racks, the wave will shove in. We already have that advantage. Sure, melee is much better. It's much more valuable than range, right? But it takes longer to kill, and there's Slarks respawning in 15 seconds. Sure, we still have Aegis, and honestly, I think hitting this is okay. But our biggest mistake right here is for sure as a team, we don't leave right now. You can see me posturing to go bottom. I'm like, we're strong, let's just go bottom. But I'm underestimating the fact that my Underlord's low. He's half HP, right? This guy's, he's tanky, but he's half HP. And so after all is said and done, he ends up getting gone on here and gets bursted. And now we have no way out, right? We have no way out. I have a way out, I guess, but that's it. My Ember gets caught, my Rubik gets caught, and we lose 2 heroes, so we lose 3k net worth. Sure, we get the melee racks, which is great, but we could have gone the melee and backed, right? And that would have been huge. We would be 10k up with the mid racks. Mid wave would be shoving in. I could go pushing bottom. Ember could go pushing top. We could reconvene in a minute or 2, and we could smoke up, make a play with our wave advantage, and probably like smoke behind the mid wave, considering we'd see someone pushing it out while they struggle to push it out. But we didn't do that. So sure, we still take the racks, but we lose 7,000 net worth in the process, and it allows their Slark to get to, some big timings like his Abyssal Blade and eventually to his BKB as well. So just keep that in mind, guys. Do not get greedy high ground. It's like it's the #1 way to throw Dota games. And frankly, I'm going to end the video there. You might be asking why I'm not going to do it to the end. And I don't want the video to be long. I've covered so many topics that I hope you can start to just digest some of them and see how complex Dota really is at this level. It is. There's a lot of things that go into it, a lot of quick decisions that have to be made that people don't see. It's a very difficult game, but that's why we love Dota. Honestly, that is exactly why we love Dota. Nonetheless, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And if you want more of this, peace. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's going to be about all, folks. Remember, click the link down below and subscribe to the Game Leap website where we have thousands of videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.